Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and the audio is still not going to be perfect in this. It should be a lot better than yesterday. I'm messing with a different mic that I have basically off my webcam while I'm waiting on the higher quality mic to come in tomorrow, but we've got to get the training footage up. Today is max effort squat day, and today I decided to mess with my safety squat bar because we know I'm really bad with this bar. And a lot of people, they try to compare their strength level on a safety bar with a straight bar, and they get on different safety bars and find it's literally 50 pounds difference on their max from one bar to the next. It depends on how aggressive the camber is. Mine has a very aggressive camber. This is really difficult for me. So today I decided to do this with a box squat because I know at this point for my squats, my quads are my weak link. We know this. We know that my thoracic erector's possibly a weak link, and I know that they're possibly a problem for my deadlifting, and I probably need to work on them. So I decided using the safety bar today would really give me a feel for that. And I got up to, with this one peak set here, and as you guys will see, this is all I could handle. And it's not that my quads couldn't handle it, it's that my whole T-spine and everything hurt. Like they literally cramped when I got to the lockout. I had to grind. And this is only 385 plus 57 pounds of chains. Right there, you see me grinding? I struggled to lock that. That was hard. I felt like if I went up another 20 pounds, I might miss it. I found my limits as far as muscular straining goes. So this is me kind of getting a feel for the first time doing a safety bar off of a box heavy in many years. So it's something I'm going to mess with a little more, and then I went over to doing quad work. Now, people would say, so why pick that one, and are you worried your squat will regress? No, because I built my box squat mainly, that 502 box squat I built off of the speed work, right? We did it off the supplemental work and the speed work, and just doing reasonably heavy box squats in different variations. Doing the safety bar for a couple of times is not going to hurt that, even though it takes some stress off the quad, because we don't use the max lift to really build our strength itself. We use it to teach us how to strain maximally, and we use it to find our weak points. And because the safety bar represents a different strength curve, what is it that we do with a system like this? All right, everyone knows this. What do? We get strong at every supplemental lift. We get strong at every angle we can. That's why we test all these different maxes, and anything that's weak, we need to bring it up. And not because it's best for the powerlifting purposes, it's best to just be generally strong. If you have a weak muscle anywhere on any 20 variations of max effort lifts you come up with, you need to build those muscles up. And these exercises help us find them. So something like a safety bar box squat is actually very similar to a sumo deadlift in determining the strength curves on it. It's closer than my normal box squat is. And since I'm working on sumo deadlifts, by me messing with it a little bit, it lets me go into more of a deadlift specialization phase. Because at this point, my squat has been coming along massively. I know my weak links in my box squat. I know how to train them. I'm training them right now and progressing on them. As long as I keep doing the speed work on it and do some form of squatting, my squat will progress, just not as fast. And it will eventually get up. I'll hit a 600-pound box squat. It will happen. But I have to build bigger quads, and I have to build stronger thoracic erectors. Right? That really highlighted my thoracic erector weakness, that safety bar did. Because honestly, at the lockout, that was only about 442. Now, you guys have seen me do lockout with a buffalo bar with 532 with chains. You've seen me do 502 with straight weight, and you see me do 532 with the chain lockout weight. So we need to keep moving that forward. So it let me get a good feel for that. Maybe next time, not next week I'm going to deadlift. I'm going to alternate them. Maybe next time I'll either do a straight weight or I'll do it against bands, right? Or I might even do a dead stop safety bar off of pins. I have different variations, even if I don't want to adjust chain or band tension and just count it as chains or bands or whatever. I have 4 different variations right there off the safety bar. So I'm going to test different ones, and we're going to use them on max effort day because, again, we're just learning how to strain. And that was a strain for me. That was hard. That was a 90% or above. That was above 90% of my max. In other words, if I put another 10% on there, I may have failed it. So it helped me establish that, and it helped me strain through. It strained to the point to where my weakest muscle cramped, which was my whole T-spine. That was a lot of weight in that position for me. So we know that we have to build that up. So what am I doing with the other stuff? We'll get to that in a minute. So for The quads today, I went up a little bit because I'm like, look, I know I need to keep progressing, and I've been slowly progressing on these step ups. Keeping in mind, any weight on here is heavy because I weigh 220 and I've got on boots, and I'm stepping up to a point that's below parallel. If you look at that, it's very clear my hip is well below my knee because I'm in the work boots up on a 20-inch box. So I need to get in that deep squat position, and this has been building my quads if they've been growing, and it's helped bring my squat up because we know that my squat is limited by my quads and possibly my T-spine. Definitely quads for the primary mover, T-spine for stability on the lockout. So this will do it. And it was challenging, but I realized I had more in the tank. So for the last 3 sets, I went up another 10 pounds. So I had been doing this last week. I did 70, then I did 75. I did the first 2 sets of this with 85 pounds. For those struggling with the math, those are 10-pound plates, and this bar weighs 65 pounds. Right? It's a 65-pound safety squat bar. Pretty standard weight for a safety bar. It's a name brand. So 85 pounds, but then I went up another 10. I threw a blue on each side because I realized I had more in the tank. I just had to push it harder. I have to push these supplemental lifts. And I know that I need to get this up. And in fact, I'm going to say that until I can probably do like 135 for sets of 10 on each leg with this, I'm not going to have 600-pound squat or quads. That's what I need to work towards. And I'm going to get there 1 week at a time. We're going to push this as hard as we can. And yeah, I had to dig in. It was hard. It was challenging. It was difficult for me to go up to 95 pounds, having only done 75. 71 week, then 75, moving up. And it was hard. But you know what? We have to dig in deep. We have to push ourselves on these supplemental lifts because the supplemental lifts are what build the main lifts. All right. Yes, the max effort work is important. Yes, the speed work is critically important. I would go so far as to say the speed work may be the most important element in terms of the training effect, whereas in the max effort work teaches you how to strain and find your weaknesses. The speed work is important for our overall training, and I'm going to have videos coming out explaining that. But this supplemental work, this is what really builds you on top of it. These lifts are training your weakest links on the max effort lifts. I know that my quads are a weak link in my squat. My quads are the reason my squat is barely above 500 right now. They have to come up, along with my T-spine. And if my squat comes up, it'll bring my deadlift up. And particularly if my safety bar box squat goes up, my sumo deadlift will go up. And if my sumo deadlifts go up, all my deadlifts go up. You got to remember that. The big 3 are just a test of strength. They're just a test of strength. All they are is testing to see how strong you are at pressing, squatting, and some sort of hip hinge from the floor using your grip. And we're addressing all that. And the beauty of this is, it's something I've been pointing out, I don't have to do a lot of extra back work other than my spine because I do all these chin-ups every day, doing my 100 chin-up a day experiment, which I will do my 100 chin-ups here later, is going to handle all the rest of that. And my back development's on point, but I still have aspects of my spine, like my T-spine, my erectors, all these things need to grow. They need more training. So at this point, we need to be looking at quads. I need to be looking at T-spine. I need to be looking at erectors. I need to be looking at grip. These are the different things I have to build, in addition to glutes and everything else. So again, picking my supplemental lifts is important. But right now, we know that quads are limiting the squats. If I'm going to mess with other stuff like safety bar squat, which does de-emphasize quads a little bit, and that's one reason when people ask me, can the safety bar squat or the front squat replace back squatting or even your box squat? No, of course it can. They both work the quads less. And that should come as a shock to a lot of people because a lot of people think of like the front squat as being this amazing quad exercise. It's not. The front squat can't build your quads as much as the back squat can. Sorry, that's reality. You have to be extra strong at it to get there. It's an upper back exercise. Upper back exercise. Exactly like the safety bar squat. They're almost the same movement. So in order to keep pushing forward, obviously the speed work matters. That's going to be a big part of training my squat, and then continuing to train my quads. If I continue to get stronger at the weakest link in my squat, my quads, which is being addressed with the step ups, then that will handle continuing the box squat improving, and my back squat subsequently improving, even if I take a couple of weeks in the rotation towards using the safety bar. while I work this different variation and find my weak links and test how they're coming along. But it really did. It brought out my T-spine weakness, which is definitely there. So I realized, well, my T-spine weakness is there, and I'm doing tons of others. So I'm doing plenty of hamstring and glute work. They're all being addressed. So when I went over to my good mornings, I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and mess with some seated good mornings because I need to hit that T-spine extra hard. Look, the safety bar good mornings are hitting it, but it's not being direct enough, and it's getting so much hamstring involvement and everything else that I worry that my T-spine is taking a back seat to some of that. And I'm getting a lot of extra hamstring work. I'm doing the glute bridges, which are a glute and hamstring dominant exercise. I do the glute ham raises. In my conditioning work 3 times a week. I'm getting a lot of hamstring work and progressing on it. So I need to do something that really, really hammers my entire thoracic erectors and neck and everything. I just need to build that entire region up. Now, I haven't done these in a long time. I've messed with these before with a straight bar. I've never done them with a safety bar. So it took me a little bit of a learning curve today. This first set was really my goof off, try to figure it out set, but I got 10. And then by the 4th set, I really got into the groove. So I messed with a couple different foot stances, messed with some things, went up in weight there. I think at this point I have like 135 on there. I think that's it. I didn't even count. I just started adding plates till it got challenging. So I believe that's the case because it should be 95, so 115. Yep, 135. Okay. This set I felt it more, and then when I got to the 4th set and I messed with some different footing, I really found my groove. And after the 4th set of this, I felt that entire area really, really light up. Like I know I was working it. I felt the tension in it. I felt it contracting. I felt it cramping afterwards. And it's not the same as when guys are saying, oh, you sound like mind-muscle connection. No, mind-muscle connection is about feeling the muscle while you work. Okay, what I'm talking about is the muscle that cramps up after you finish a set that feels like you just hit it with a hammer. The after effect that you feel after a set. It tells you what just got hit. Not talking about what you feel squeezing and contracting. I'm talking about what you feel afterwards where it really hurts. Like you know that area just got activated ridiculously hard. Okay? You fatigued it because you can tell, you can feel fatigue. So that's what we did here. And I fatigued my entire T-spine region. So this exercise will work. I'm going to work on it a bit because I know that that's a weak link. And I had to experiment with it a bit today. Like right there, that stance didn't work. And then when I brought it in, messed with this set, I felt it tremendously afterwards. And that, so after this set and the next one, I knew that I worked that area. And there you go, the belt's off. Some of the people who don't watch the conditioning work, the Metcon work, they maybe think that I have the belt on all the time to hide my loose skin and fat around my lower back and stuff. No, it's all there. You guys can see it. And it's slowly getting smaller. Because I'm recomping. This recomposition is working. And there's my back. It's obviously pretty big. Even with that there, yes, I have a pretty big V-taper even with that fat there. And I think people forget, again, they've got misconceptions of the internet. People don't realize my stats, and that's okay. They don't realize I'm 220 at 5'9". 220. And I'm not one of these 180-pound guys like Omar Issoff. A little bigger than people realize. So yeah, I'm going to have a V-taper, even with the fat down there. And if that ever burns off, obviously, and it will burn off over time because we're recomping, because it has gotten dramatically smaller. But yeah, I mean, I'll obviously have a pretty serious V-taper, even though it's not my goal, but we're trying to maximize body composition. You know what? A big back, top to bottom, makes you a stronger athlete. But yeah, this exercise, I think it's going to help a lot because it's really hammering that weak link. And I know I need to work on my T-spine. I know that my deadlift specifically will go up from it. And then we did our glute bridges 5x10. I went up again today. Did them first time 265, then 285. Today I did 315. This was a challenging weight for 5x10. In fact, I started getting a hamstring cramp because I had some people look at this and go, "Oh, it's just a glute exercise, right?" I'm like, well, no, it's a tremendous glute exercise because it hits the glute in a different way than a lot of your other lifts. Yeah, but this is a very hamstring dominant movement. It works your lower back again in a different way. Very strong abdominal movement. So it hits that entire region. And it hammers it. And it's a big exercise that you can load heavy. So since it's very loadable, it works all of those. So this even counts as hamstring work. So I'm not that worried that if I do my good mornings for a little while, seated, All right, I'm not worried about it because this is going to hit my glutes and hamstrings. And I think that this is a lift that I'm going to go ahead and do both days. I'm going to do it twice a week. I'll worry about the step ups and the seated good mornings primarily on my max effort day, because again, those are addressing my max effort lift. Whereas in this glute bridge is just going to address general hypertrophy through all those regions. But I do know that I'll need the sets of the step ups and the seated good mornings on max effort day. And if I have to, I'll rotate one of them over here. If my T-spine doesn't come up enough, I'll have to rotate it in. But I know that right now the T-spine is definitely a weakness on some of my stuff, definitely on the safety bar squats. I don't feel it as much on the deadlifts, but it is possibly a contributing factor because the deadlift brings out whatever your weaknesses are. I feel like I just need more glute and hamstring involvement on the deadlift, so I need to really hammer this exercise, get strong at it. And in fact, I need to get strong at all three of these supplemental lifts. All right. And strong doesn't mean, I don't mean 1 rep max strong, I mean get strong at my 10 rep sets. I need to be able to move a lot of weight for a lot of workload through even sets of 10 because I need to hypertrophy all these areas. All right, we've got to hypertrophy these areas because they're what's holding me back. So I'm going into a phase now that I'm figuring out what's going on with my bench press, and I'm doing max effort deadlifting now, which I haven't really been doing. We're going to specialize in getting the deadlift and the bench press caught up to my squatting because my squats are now my strongest lift. They're coming along great. I have that dialed in. I know what's going on with it. I think I can slowly keep it moving forward. These other lifts have to get caught up. And it's not because those lifts are important in the grand scheme of things relative, because again, it's not just about the big three, it's that they represent larger movement patterns. And so we have to get everything strong. In other words, I need to get all of my pressing strong and I need to get my pulling from the floor strong. So we're going to have to address that with the supplemental work because we don't change the programming on the max work and the dynamic work. It stays stagnant. It stays constant. You just rotate lifts. And the dynamic work is based off of your maxes. That's what determines what you do on it. And then everything else is where you get your hypertrophy. This is where we make up the weaknesses. This is where we make our gains. So it has to be focused on really, really hard now. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.